What's going on, fellow A+ers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. Welcome to a brand new video for us today, streaming live for you guys. Let's talk movies, baby. That's right. We hopefully will be doing this on a weekly basis for you guys, as we're going to be highlighting brand new movies that have, in fact, released out in theaters, maybe even on streaming services, and talking about them here with you guys. This probably will be spoiler-ish, spoiler warning. Maybe I should put a spoiler warning up here for you guys as we talk about individual movies that we wind up seeing here this week. Hopefully this will be an every Monday evening thing for you guys. So you'll probably have Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to see some of these movies before we talk about them live for you guys on Monday night. I'm excited to always talk movies, Stewart. I'm a huge movie buff. I love watching films and just talking about how they make me feel, what I loved about them, what I didn't. Just makes me feel like I'm a part of the movie making or movie going experience. I have always wanted to work on a movie set or even a TV set. I'll even take that. But this is as close as I feel like I will ever get. But so I love talking movies, and I love talking movies with you, man. We talk movie news at least every Sunday. It's good to have you, buddy. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. It's like really funny because we've talked about a lot of movies before in the past on our podcast, and then we also have done movie reviews in the past. But I really hope, like you said, this becomes a weekly thing, because I would love to just rather than it being very specific movies, because I feel like it's always kind of like we're landing on the bigger movies, the ones that like kind of relate more to the stuff that we talk about in terms of pop culture. But it would be kind of cool to like just make this a weekly thing and like be able to explore movies outside of our usual topics. And I think the movies that we got selected today, even though I only saw one out of the three of them, I think they're kind of the perfect films for this exact kind of format for us to like kind of be able to like branch off.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. We don't have a cool name for our weekly show yet. We're just talking movies with you guys. Maybe it'll become a thing in a matter of time. But not every week we'll talk about three movies. Maybe one week it's just one movie that's really out and current. Maybe it's two. Who certainly knows? But with Stewart, with you working at the movie theater, Stewart, it's almost like, bro, we got to talk movies with as much, with you working at the theater all the time.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. You'd think that if with me working at the movie theaters, I'd be more inclined to see movies more often, but I find that, and it's probably because it takes literally 2 bus rides to get to work. So because of that, I find it's like harder to motivate myself to go there on my days off. And then when I'm even like looking at the theaters around me, I gotta like kind of look at prices, because if I see it at work, I can see it for free. But if I go somewhere else that's closer, way more convenient, I then gotta look at prices on whether or not I can afford it this week. But I will start making a bigger effort, because we got currently a bunch of construction going on our theater. So my hope is that once that's all done, I can start focusing more on seeing new movies at the very least every Thursday. That's definitely the goal. But yes, I will make an effort to at least see a new movie every weekend that's out in theaters, so that way we have a new movie to talk about every Monday, assuming that we keep this show going.
Because I was going to ask you, outside of working at the theater, I wasn't sure if you go to any other theaters that are nearby you to check out some movies. Do you have AMC at all nearby you?
We do. I'm not a fan of because the AMC theater we have in the city is the Metreon. Not the biggest fan of the theater. It's okay.
Okay.
But for me, I kind of prefer going to either my theater, or there's this new one I started going to, and I absolutely love it. Especially the building that it's in.
What it's called?
Yeah, it's called Apple Cinema. And it's at this this building that it's in is just such a great looking architecturally. I'm not even like an architect fan, but I just love walking around the building that it's in. I think the only thing, it's like too bad that rent must be expensive there, because there's so much empty space in there where there's like nothing going on. And it's weird that owners of these big buildings would rather lose money by letting all this stuff take up space instead of just lowering the rent. But I'm glad the sections that are taken are owned by Apple, and I don't think it's the same as Apple, as in the company Apple.
Like
I think it's like yeah, I think it's like a different company that just happens to use the name Apple as well. How they got away with that, I don't know. But yeah, I really like that theater. I really do. It's there's like a bunch of theaters on the top of the building, and they got like some smaller IMAX screens, but it's really nice.
So when we do these reviews, we try and keep our eye on in regards to what releases that week. We may talk about some things that came out the previous week. We may not cover every single movie that's currently out there right now. For instance, Scream 7, we haven't really discussed talking about. Maybe we should. I don't know if Stuart, have you had the opportunity to see Scream 7 yet?
If I do, I'm going to see it for free. I refuse to pay for this one.
I know Withering Heights is out currently right now. I didn't really have any aspirations of seeing that film. Hoppers is currently out from Pixar. I don't really go to a lot of animated movies, but maybe Hoppers is something I'll try to explore, maybe. And then I think we have I Can Only Imagine 2 that's currently out. Today, what we're going to talk about, we've got 3 movies that we're going to talk about. We've got The Bride, we've got War Machine from Netflix that just dropped this week too, and The Bluff from Prime Video. I believe that's came out. I don't think that came out this week. That might have come out a couple of weeks ago. But we'll always keep our eye out in regards to what's upcoming. There's a couple of things on my radar that I would definitely like to check out in the next couple of weeks. Undertone looks like a pretty cool, creepy ass movie. We got Project Hail Mary on March 20th. They Will Kill You, an action film from Zaza Beetz, I believe, March 27th. Ready or Not 2 in March 20th. So look forward to some of those movies being discussed in the coming weeks for you guys for the month of March. And then if they got any brand new movies that might be dropping on Prime Video or Netflix for you guys, we are doing this live. So look, as we go through some of these movies and really just openly talk about them, again, spoiler warning for those of you who have not seen these movies yet, but we will be talking about what we thought about them in general. So let's go ahead and kick this off. You ready to get into this, Stuart?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, if you guys have talked, if you guys have seen any of these movies, feel free to let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. We definitely would love to bounce some ideas and opinions off of what you felt about these films, and we also will be giving our final grade on the movie also. So let's start off with the big movie that we wind up getting here this week, Stuart. That's going to be The Bride. Maggie Gyllenhaal, I believe she wrote and directed this movie. The sister of Jake Gyllenhaal dropped this movie this week. I don't remember if this made my honorable. I don't know if I can't remember if this made my most anticipated list for 2026. Or if it was one of my honorable mentions. I probably should have checked before that. But I was really high on this movie based off of the trailers that we wind up getting. Stuart, whenever we talked about this, I always talked about I love the amalgamation of the punk vibes and the Bonnie and Clyde sort of vibes that it kind of gave me. It felt very much like a gangster film with monsters, and I was like all here for it. So the movie dropped this weekend. If you guys have had the opportunity to see it, please let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. But let's go ahead and talk about this one, Stuart, because to be frank with you, I was feeling some type of way about this movie after I watched it. There are elements to this movie that I found myself enjoying, but other elements had me kind of scratching my head, trying to figure out if this movie knew what it wanted to be. The message certainly wasn't lost upon me, but I just don't know if the execution was fully there for me personally. Should we give like a synopsis? I don't know if we should give like a synopsis or anything like that in regards to The Bluff. Or excuse me, in regards to The Bride. Yeah. Here's the synopsis. It just says in 1930s Chicago, groundbreaking scientist Dr. Euphoronius brings a murdered young woman back to life to become the companion for Frankenstein's monster. What happens next is beyond what either of them could have ever imagined. That's the synopsis for the film itself. Let's talk about it, man. How did you like this movie, Stuart, overall?
I'd say overall, man, because like you, there were a lot of elements I really liked about this movie. And I think this movie, it being a Frankenstein movie, is kind of in itself a perfect metaphor for my thoughts about this film. Because much like Christian Bale's design as Frankenstein, it's a bunch of really cool pieces, like all stitched together. But unfortunately, it's stitched together really poorly. And theoretically, I think a lot of these things could have flowed together extremely well. And I don't know if it was specifically the editing that didn't work for it, that didn't work for me when it came to like how it was all like kind of clumped together. But like I just didn't think that like I almost feel like there was just too much going on in terms of everything that they wanted to going for this movie. And the
Yeah,
thing is, I felt this so early on in the movie, which I didn't expect.
bro.
Like the very beginning of the
Very
movie,
beginning.
you know, I was on the one hand, I'm like, oh, this is kind of a cool homage to The Bride of Frankenstein. We got Mary Shelley seemingly narrating the movie, or at
The
least
movie.
starting the movie out to tell us, oh, hey, the story's not over. Very similar to how The Bride of Frankenstein from the 1930s started. But then they include it into the plot. It literally drives the plot forward. This
Yes.
weird aspect that you have, but that also that weird aspect that we have driving the plot forward never gets expanded on. That's it. Like we're introduced to this weird like kind of cosmic element of Mary Shelley from our world. Suddenly her spirit enters her book, takes over a woman that just happens to exist in her world that she wrote like in Frankenstein, and then that's where the story kind of starts, and that element is still driving the plot forward. It's like and maybe Mary Shelley's like, this was actually a question I asked myself.
Yeah,
took some
I
notes.
think we had the same question. Yeah.
Yeah, is Mary Shelley like meant to be like a metaphor for like multiple personalities, or is it like supposed to be like our main character finally like snapping? Either way, it's just not explored as much as I would have liked, and I wouldn't be bothered by it if it was only in the beginning and then nowhere else in the movie. But it's literally, like I've been saying, driving the plot forward. So that was just something I thought was so bizarre, and that was just 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, you know, I got to tell you, I completely agree with you in that sense that the first 5 minutes of this movie, um, and this is like the earliest twist to a movie that I feel like I've ever seen. Like there was nothing in these trailers to me to suggest like, oh, there's gonna be like a supernatural cosmic element to this film outside of Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster. So the fact that they introduced Mary Shelley in here to be this supernatural voice that, according to the movie, she had more to say that she wasn't allowed to say in her Frankenstein book. And now she's using Jesse Buckley's character in here as sort of the vessel to get her message across. I was just thinking to myself, like, the entire time while I'm watching this movie, while it's cool from, I think, like a performative standpoint, like Jesse
Mhm.
Buckley going back and forth between the two, I absolutely loved. There are times when it's just a little bit too much for me, though, at the same time, when I'm just like, what is Mary Shelley trying to talk about? Like, what is she saying? She's just going off the rails half the time. It just made me feel like, if you wanted to do a movie about Mary Shelley, just do a movie about Mary Shelley. Like, the fact that they are trying to put these two together just feel like it's too much kind of going on. Because not only is that, because then my mind goes down this wormhole, right? Of like, okay, so Mary Shelley is embodying Jesse Buckley's character and then turns her into the Bride of Frankenstein. Does that mean there's somebody else embodying Frankenstein throughout this movie? And did Mary Shelley write the book? Like, is Frankenstein's book a biography about this man? Or is it
From
meant to be just the novel and he just happens to exist in this world? And so not only that, but then the somehow possessing the people in the club to like do the big dance montage together and stuff and be like all out of character and sorts. It's just the supernatural element, I think, just really overpowered the movie to the point of like it just not making sense.
Mhm.
If you know what I mean. And so it was really hard to kind of appreciate the movie. Like, because to me, then it almost becomes like there's a part of me that kind of wishes I would have been able to see Jesse Buckley's character get to those elements of empowerment and feminism on her own. Whereas in this, it feels like it's not only forced on her, but like not to say that people don't need guiding hands to get to understand like how, because clearly Jesse Buckley's character felt that type of way. But to me, I think from a character perspective, it would have been better if she actually took that journey on her own to discover that without somebody kind of constantly in her head or her ear to push her to those things, if that makes sense.
100%. I find it weird too because there were just I think it's just because like in my head I could think of so many simpler ways they could have gotten
To tell the
from
story.
to tell that exact story. Like with her trying to come to grips with her own like identity and trying to figure out like I think like thematically this was what worked with the movie is I do like what she was going for with the whole idea of like how much of her life is like actually her. She was brought back to the dead against her wills, and
Right.
it's like, you know, the only person, you know, who can relate to her situation is the one who basically kind of forced her into that position to begin with. So I think like that alone was great. And that's why, you know, going back to what you were mentioning, it's like, why even add this whole thing? And like you talked about the dancing, and it's like that was such a cool scene.
I love a
But
good
how,
dance montage
yeah,
too. I do.
exactly. But how we got to that is just like, you know, this was something that never gets established before in the movie and never gets established afterwards, is the fact that like suddenly, you know, it's almost like the two of them are controlling the world and turning
That's
this
what it feels
world
like.
into kind of like a musical in the sense of, you know, characters are dancing, you know, and it's just natural for them to dance in a way that just you would only see in movies, I guess. Best way to describe it. I don't know if there's like a term for that, but when characters like in musicals when they sing and dance, but you know, diegetically they're not actually singing and dancing. That's what it was like. They suddenly turned the movie into,
Oh, I see what you
but
mean.
they're actually, you know, singing and dancing. So I couldn't even tell. Like I thought it was going to be one of those scenes that breaks, and then suddenly we see it all is happening in Frankenstein's mind, but that it never does that.
Mhm.
So it was just
Yeah,
such
it's
a
all set in
weird,
the real world. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was just so bizarre.
And
And
I'm the musical guy, so I
yeah,
definitely appreciate those type of like montages. I mean, to a certain extent, it makes sense just based off of like Frankenstein's love for film and the particular actor and the song and dance and stuff. You know, he definitely admires that. First off, Jake Gyllenhaal being in this just felt odd to me. It felt really off to me for some reason. Like I don't know why when I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, his sister did him a favor. You know, like it just didn't feel
I
like a natural casting to me though.
I I kind of feel that, but I feel like that's only because I knew his sister was directing. Honestly, I do think that if I was like casting a, you know, role for basically a character who's just supposed to be your typical Hollywood golden age actor from the 30s, I think Gyllenhaal is
Gyllenhaal.
actually a good face for that kind of a character that you're going for. So honestly, as I think that the only reason I thought about it was because I knew his sister was directing, but honestly I think it did kind of fit. Like he did like what he was supposed to do really well, I thought.
We do got Tony Robinson in the house. Wait a minute, I know these guys. Hey, I know you too, buddy. I know you too. Kiki and Luca in the house. Appreciate you guys coming through. So good to see a movie show. Hey, thank you very much for that. Glad you like it so far. You know, you did talk a little bit about the idea of like Jessie Buckley's character realizing the idea that she doesn't really have a lot of choice kind of in
Mhm.
her life, right? There is sort of like that identity that she's trying to find a place for herself. Nobody's ever really able to tell her in this movie like what truly happened to her until, you know, later on in the film itself. But I did like that there are elements to that story that I am a big fan of because you're right. There are things that this movie showcases in the sense of like, um, you know, her acting up in the restaurant, right? Men coming in to try and sort of put her in her place. The idea of like her trying to be something for other people instead of trying to figure out who she, you know, who she is. The idea that they've sort of caught a little bit of like cause a little bit of a rebellion, right, with this sort of women's movement of being, you know, oppressed, you know, but having a voice for yourself and kind of pushing back. I really enjoyed sort of that narrative for this movie. And I think honestly, one of the more impactful scenes to this film for me was definitely the finale when she goes back to the doctor's office to revive Frankenstein and the cops are after her.
Mhm.
And the fact that we had what looked like the captain, the sheriff, like the whole brigade literally come into this room to shoot this woman down. And like and like people shooting her and then more cops flooding into the room at the same time to get their licks in, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a great metaphor for the idea of like how far some people will go in order to um keep a woman's voice kind of silent, and to keep them from feeling powerful enough from pushing back against the norms of the patriarchy. And to me it was like no more evident than in that one particular scene of like every man needing to get a bullet in her, like just really over the top, like damn bro, like she's dead guys, she's dead. And the fact that they had to scream it like 3 or 4 times before they stopped, I think is just, it's just not lost upon me the message of the film, especially where we are today in regards to stripping women of their autonomy of their bodies, right? You know, who knows if if they had the power to remove a woman's vote, they probably would try to do that. Trying to make it more difficult for them to vote, in regards to like, do you have your husband's last name or not on your birth certificate, right? And then having to jump through all these hoops in order to be able to have the ability to vote in some areas. So it's definitely not lost upon me what the message of this movie was, and there were some great moments in here that really highlighted that. But the execution of us getting to that point just felt a little bit all over the place to me.
Yeah, the part that really this one kind of bothered me a little
Shout
bit.
out
Also,
Crystal.
shout out to Crystal. Thank you for joining us. Actually, Crystal, if you are still watching, I want to hear your thoughts on the makeup in this movie, because that was actually probably one of my personal highlights of this film, if you had a chance to watch it. Okay, so one issue I kind of had with the way the message was like kind of executed was like, first of all, like I didn't mind the fact that like her being rebellious and then like her basically speaking her mind, and then calling people out suddenly, causes a movement where like other women are like now wearing her makeup, and then they're also like starting their own movement. What I didn't like about it is that they then say that these apparently this movement led to like 17 murders. And the thing is, like, kind of the way it's designed, the way you see
wait, the bride
makeup. No, not the bride herself. They're saying that like the people that were like wearing her makeup basically were causing, like that it led to like 17 different deaths or something along those lines. So my problem, and I'm sure this is not like what the movie was intending, but my problem with it is that you're doing this through like kind of a way that, it looks very punk rock-esque. And I think that like, in that it's supposed to be at the very least counterculture in a way. And I think that when you're showing these women, kind of like, standing up for themselves, marching for feminism in a very kind of punk rock-esque way, or at the very least a very counterculture-esque way, and then you're saying that it led to 17 different murders, it almost feels like the message is feminism and counterculture is violence. Like this almost felt like the punchline you would see from a misogynistic male comedian, and it was just something about the way it was executed just didn't sit right with me.
I'm trying to remember that. Who said there were 17 murders? And
it was one of the two detectives. Like they were talking about, because
did the women kill the men, or did the men kill the women for being outspoken? Did they clarify that?
Okay, if that were the case, then I clearly missed
I missed that moment for sure. So I can't speak on that though.
Okay. If I misunderstood that, if it was that like women got killed from their movement, that would be a whole different thing. But the way it sounded like it was portrayed in the movie is that 17 people were killed from this movement, and they want to pin it all on the bride. That's how.
Okay, I get you. Yes,
because that's what led to the detective going, she only killed one person, referring to the cop, in self-defense. So that's where. So yeah. Anyways, that's what I'm saying is like just the way it was executed just didn't sit right with me, because it almost felt like they were trying to say that like counterculture and feminism is violence, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good message to put out there, because again, just at least that's how it came off to me. But going to like how I saw it compared to how I'm sure the movie was supposed to like be seen. One thing I will say though is that even though this movie, I would say this movie probably isn't for me. I do think that there is definitely an audience for this movie, and even though it seems I've been picking this movie apart, I do want to give this movie a lot of credit. As I was mentioning earlier, is I have to give a lot of credit when it comes to the overall costume and makeup design for this.
Yeah,
I think
it's really
that
good.
like Frankenstein himself,
Aesthetics was great.
oh my gosh, aesthetics were incredible. I also just love the pattern on the bride's face, and then I just love the stitching on Frankenstein. Like he looked like he was barely being held together. He didn't look like a guy in stitching makeup. He looked like he was a dude falling apart, you know, like in a literal sense as well as probably metaphorically as well. But yeah, like I thought that was really good. And I also got to say, like when it came to the overall camera work and the way the movie like just looked, the way it was overall directed, I thought was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, visually, this movie was great. I am a big fan of the aesthetics. The set work was great. Especially love the doctor's office in regards to plugging her up and getting her ready and stuff like that. Um, um, Costume design was really great too. I love the bride's outfit in here. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to look at my report card a little bit about some of the things that I enjoyed about it. The performances really worked for me.
Oh yeah.
Like to me to like I saw Jessie Buckley. I still haven't finished it yet. I just watched her also in Hamnet, and she's great in that. And the range that she certainly has from Hamnet to The Bride is incredible. But to have to play two sides of yourself with the accent that she has, I think is incredible. I was a really big fan of the Frankenstein storyline in here. I love the concept of it focusing on his loneliness, the idea that the doctor didn't take him seriously at first, thinking it was just like, you know, sex focused, and he's just like, no, like it's a more like an emotional need of like, I've been alone for such a long time, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I do love Christian Bale's performance in here as Frankenstein. I definitely think he put his sort of his own spin on the character, to say the least. And I thought the two of them really had a chemistry. Like there's something cool about seeing Frankenstein appreciate, I don't want to say the crazy, but like the outspoken side of her, right? Like he's got no problem listening to, I can't, was it Ida? Is that Jessica Ida's is that Ida? Is that her name? I can't remember her
Mhm.
name in the show.
Yeah,
Um
it was Ida.
like he's got no problem listening to Ida, but it's when Mary Shelley speaks through her, his eyes just like open up wide. He seems like he's just so, he's like so fascinated and so in love with like just her just her personality in regards to just how much she wants, you know, and how much she demands of the things around her, sort of thing. And I thought they had really great chemistry in here together for sure. So yeah, if there was any positives about it, it's definitely the set design, makeup, clothing. The music I thought was really great. Also, I was a big fan of the music, and I thought the acting performance wise was pretty good. You know who surprised me in this movie that I did not expect to see? I didn't know Penelope Cruz was in this movie, and then Peter Sarsgaard was also in this film as they played two detectives. I was a fan of Penelope Cruz in here, but I gotta tell you, Stuart, I didn't care for Peter Sarsgaard
Mhm.
as the detective. To me, he felt a little bit sort of thrown into the movie for me. He felt a little bit thrown in. You know what, when he's recounting why he cares as much about Ida as he does, this is all stuff to me that I think is shown off camera.
Yeah.
Um, None of this stuff lands with me. Like I have no emotional connection between how Peter Skarsgård's character feels towards Ida. He's got his own sort of drama that his own trauma he's trying to heal from, clearly being some type of like corrupt cop. I mean, I'm sure there's a connection that was maybe hinted at earlier in this movie, but the bigger grand scheme of things between the two of them, like when she's running, like when he's running up to Ida and calling her name, and she's like, "Who are you? Who are you?" I'm thinking the same thing. Who are you, bro? Like, who are you, bro? Like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, to have that more emotional impact, I really would have liked to have seen how those two were connected in a bigger way than him kind of just telling us. I don't know how you felt about that though, or if you feel differently.
Because I do think it was kind of it was hinted at, because there were just like the way that he looked at her, not to mention the way he kept kind of defending her to
I thought that maybe like were ex-lovers, like were they right? Or
yeah, or not necessarily lovers, but it sounded like, yeah, he kind of used her in order to convince her to keep working the case with him, basically that was already closed. So yeah, I don't know, I think my problem with it is that the only hints that we had about it were the ways that he looked at her and the way he defended her, which could have meant like a million things. And I think because of that, I was kind of expecting it to be some really big, like, oh, that's how they're connected kind of thing, something that would have kind of surprised me a lot. But instead, what we ended up getting was just very, very generic. I think that's what sucks about the whole like detective aspect of this film, is that I love the way it's filmed, because it very much, you know, carries that classic noir. There's times where we see him own the detective, and I know she's not like, I know like the whole like joke is that she's called the secretary, even though she's basically doing most of the work for him, yeah. Which I found absolutely hilarious. But okay, sorry, I have the names up here. So we got Jake as the detective, and then it was um Myrna, am I saying that right? Myrna, Myrna. Okay, yeah. So Jake and Myrna. So like the way they were filmed felt very classic noir. I especially loved, like, you know, the shots we would get with lots of fog and everything, so I love that. But I think that in execution, again, when we get the full reveal, I think it's just so generic and just like nothing we haven't seen before from a million other noir films. And I think it would have been a lot better if we knew this information earlier, so that way in my head the entire time I wasn't just constantly asking myself, what's their connection, only to find out what their connection is. And it's just, again, just kind of like, oh, that's what we're going for. She was an informant, because I already had pieced that together. I just thought there was a little bit more to it than that. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought like that it was just an underwhelming reveal, I think, at the very end. When we got to that, I think it was just kind of underwhelming.
You know who surprised me? I didn't know was also in this movie, but I feel like I've seen this dude everywhere. It's the gangster Lupino. The older man, played by Zlatko Buric. He was in Superman last year. He was just in the Wonder Man series also. It seems like he plays, I don't want to say he plays the same character over and over, but he's just got that facial expression that is just like so perfect. And so I'm actually becoming a really big fan of his. He feels like he's going to be one of those actors that maybe never have like, well, I don't know what his career has been like, but I feel like you're going to see him in a lot of things and be like, I know that guy, you know, like he's just going to pop up randomly in everything you watch now.
I'm sure he'll be in the next James Bond as the next villain.
Yeah, perfect. If I had to grade this movie, again, man, I was so looking forward to this movie. I think you could have just achieved a lot more had we not done the whole supernatural element and aspect of things, and just been more of a natural growth of the Jesse Buckley character. Maybe embrace a little bit more of the gangster side of things also. Yeah, it within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, whoa, what is happening? What am I getting myself into? I don't feel like it was a bait and switch, but the trailers definitely did not reveal everything to you. That's for sure. If I had to grade it, I did fill out my my card here. Can I get us on the side a little bit? Yeah, if I can get us on the side a little bit. I ended up giving this movie a C+. The music and the soundtrack to me was fantastic. Like you, I was a really big fan of the directing style, the cinematography in here. I thought was really beautiful, and the acting performances really nailed it for me. The ability of Jesse Buckley to go back and forth between characters, and how Christian Bale really nailed his Frankenstein role really worked for me. It's really the writing that I think pulls it down a little bit. And while I enjoy the aesthetics and I love the set designs and stuff, I don't know how many VFX shots there were actually in this particular movie itself. But it was just it was okay for me in the most part. But it unfortunately lands at a C plus for me. I don't know if that's too gracious on my part or not, Stuart, or how you felt about it. What do you know what you ended up? Well, I don't know if you know what the
Um,
grade was, but you want to
yeah.
tell me what your categories were?
So yeah, for me, the acting, I gave it an I rounded everything out down to a 0. So I'm just letting you know that. So acting,
Hold
I
on one
gave.
second. I want to.
Oh, you want? Oh, I
Okay,
already
go
got
ahead.
it. Like,
I'm sorry.
I already got the overall score too.
Okay, for acting, what did you get?
Oh, so I gave it an 80 for acting because I do think both performances were absolutely incredible. I did not expect actually, Jessica Buckley to kind of outshine Christian Bale there, but she
Yeah,
definitely did. She, like her two roles that she was playing, she does such an incredible job at both of them, especially whenever she's like Mary Shelley. Even though like at some point I gotta watch this movie. Even though this isn't going to be the highest grade I would give a movie, I do want to watch it again with subtitles because I feel like she's saying so many things
so
all at
many
once that
things.
there's like so much that I'm missing, and I'm like, I
Yeah,
need to
bro.
go back and like actually like be able to hear everything that she's saying because
Yeah,
just
bro.
great written dialogue for her. I also will give credit to. So editing, I'm going to give a 70 only because that there were times where I just was a bit confused by the way things were presented. So not the best, but I didn't think it was the worst. I've definitely seen movies with way worse editing. Um, the directing is definitely the other big highlight of this movie. So that's gonna definitely be an 80% for me. I think, in terms of like how things were framed, how shots were done, and then just the overall aesthetic, as we've been talking about with this movie, all excellent. Writing is the lowest, and that sucks to say because again,
Yeah,
there are a lot of creative aspects about this. I
yeah.
appreciate the themes that she is going for, and I know this movie is going to connect to other people in a very strong way, and I will love to like hear what other people have to say about this movie. But unfortunately for me, I gave it a 50%. This was
Oof.
just, it was just not stitched
Brutal,
together well. Again, I'm going
brutal.
with the Frankenstein metaphor. This, so many great pieces stitched together just so poorly, unfortunately. Sound and music, I'm going to be honest, it didn't stick out to me as much, but
No,
I didn't think
no.
it was bad, which is why, it still gets a passing grade 70. It just didn't like stand out to me. There was nothing apart from the dance number, nothing really stuck with me like after it in terms of its sound or music. And then
Okay.
finally, of course, you knew this was going to be a high score. VFX and animation, although not really much animation. I don't think there were any. I mean, I'm sure there was some
I'm
CG
sure there was
enhancements,
some.
but like
Yeah.
nothing noticeable. But regardless, in terms of just like effects, though, in terms of like makeup and just practical effects, 80, definitely an 80% for me there. And so the total, dividing that by 6, we got a 71% of a movie, which I believe that's a C minus.
Yeah, that'd be a C minus for you. What did I
Yeah.
give it? A C plus, I think. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're almost there. Let me average these out. What did you say you gave for the last category?
Oh, for effects, I gave that. Oh yeah, so
An
VFX and
8,
animation,
right?
80. Yep, gave that one an 80.
Okay, give me a second here. I'm gonna do some uh 7.5. What did I also gave it an 8? It's another 16. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do math real quick here. 6, that's 11. Okay. What was the other one? I can't see. Oh man, I really like the sound, I guess. I didn't realize I gave it a
It's
10.
like, yeah, you gave that one a 10.
I did give that one a 10. Yeah, I probably should have put some of those points towards uh the um the VFX work, honestly. 7.5. Okay, give me one moment here. So it's 14.5, and then you had 8 plus 7.5. That's 15.5. Okay, let me add up our scores here is a 16 plus 14.5 plus 16 plus 11 plus 17 plus 15.5 equals divided by 6. Oh, wait, how did I do that last time?
Well,
How
I
did I
mean,
do that last
you
time?
would add them. You would add them
Oh,
both.
I would, and then I
But
got to divide them.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know why so that would give us an 8. Uh, sorry to be doing math in front of y'all. I just didn't have I just didn't have all this written down for me at first. So
I will make
um,
sure next time we do this, I will text you my results before we go live. So
no, you're
that was my bad, everyone.
no, you're good. 11 divided by 2, 5.5. Yikes! That writing is what
Yeah, I think
killed
that's
this
what brings
movie.
the movie down, unfortunately. And again,
10.5.
it's like it sucks because there were a lot of things that were in the movie. Like a lot of things, like on paper, sound so cool. It's just not what it, just the way it was all stitched together. That's yeah.
All right, so we got a
I wanted to like the writing a lot more than I actually did.
So we got an 8 plus a 7.25 plus an 8 plus a 5.5 plus a 8.5 plus a 7.75 divided by 6, 7.5. What is that? I guess that's a C. So it
Oh yeah,
actually,
it
yeah.
averages to a C.
So C. So that's our average for The Bride. I'm gonna go ahead and actually fill out an official card for this and post this up later. But for The Bride, we officially give it a C. Let us know how you guys felt about the movie. Maybe it landed with you guys a little bit differently. We certainly would love to know your guys' thoughts in that regards. We do have 2 other movies real quick. I know you didn't get the opportunity to check them out, but let me go ahead and talk about them real quick while I got you here, Stuart. I checked out War Machine yesterday. This Alan Rickson film over on Netflix. It dropped, I think, last Friday also. So it's a relatively new release. I don't know how well it's doing for Netflix or if it's done relatively well or not. Um, check the check the Rotten Tomato score if you can for War Machine. The synopsis for War Machine says during the final stage of a U.S. Army Ranger selection, an elite team's training exercise turns into a fight for survival against an unimaginable threat. Now, Stuart, when I first saw this, when this movie first got first, oh my god, I'm so dude, I'm so sorry, my fucking my girlfriend. Dude, I'm sitting, I got a window right next to me, and I just happen to look around while I'm talking, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's like a dark shadow in front of my window. I'm like, what the hell? And it's like girlfriend just staring at me through the window. I'm like, oh my god, dude, this fucking freaked me out for a second. Anyway, going back to War Machine, I had seen like I don't think I've seen a full trailer of this movie. I think I had seen bits and pieces, and I was like, "Oh, Alan Rickson's in the a an action movie. Maybe I'll go ahead and check it out." I felt that there was maybe something I don't want to say supernatural in regards to it. Or maybe I guess that's not really supernatural anymore, huh? Aliens. But
I'd say like aliens fall more sci-fi than supernatural.
more sci-fi elements to it than I imagined. Um, I had a good time with this movie. I was really I don't want to say impressed, but I was kind of I was really happy with it for the most part. Now, to be fair, if I can have a little disclosure here, I was smoking when I watched it, and that tends to make everything else a little bit better for me. But I gotta tell you, for somebody that has seen Alan Rickson and just a couple of things here and there, I remember him from Titans. He's in the Reacher series, which I haven't watched as of yet. I was really impressed with Alan Rickson in this movie. Like, I'm really impressed by just his talent in regards to like where he can go with his range. I had no idea he was a great singer too. He's got a great voice. He emotes really well. I think Alan can really do a lot. And after seeing this movie, I just kept thinking to myself, if those rumors or those theories of him potentially being like Captain Adam in the DCU were to ever come true, dude, this man, give this man the role. Like I want to see him in the DCU so badly.
Mhm.
Um, I thought this movie had a lot of heart in regards to Alan Rickson's character in here. This is a show. This I can't remember what his name. I don't think that, now that I think about it, I don't even think they had his name in the movie. So check this out, right? He goes into this naval he goes into this what do they call it? The Ranger program, and they completely like eliminate your personality and identity. You got to give them everything of yours, and they just literally give you a number. And I think all movie long, I think that's what they called him, was like 81. And even there's like a little gag at the end of the story, at the end of the movie, when they're like, "Hey, what's that guy's name again?" And it just shows the number. And so I'm pretty sure, now that I think about it, they probably didn't say his name the entire effing movie, which is pretty impressive, to be quite frank with you. But his journey in this movie, I thought, was great. You got an opening sequence in here where it really lays the groundwork as to why he joins the Rangers in the first place. First off, he's a guy that doesn't want to even go to the Rangers. He's an older gentleman. He's been in the U.S. Army for a long time. Him and his brother have been doing this for quite some time now, but his brother wants to be a Ranger, and his brother signed them both up to get into this Ranger program. But Alan's character is very reluctant because he's older now, right? He's like, God, he's like, dude, I promised that to you when we were like in our 20s, bro. Like when we were 18 years old, and you still want to, you still want me to do that with you. And so he's begging his brother to go ahead and join the Rangers with him. But as they're out and about, because they're in like Afghanistan, or they're overseas, doing their army thing, their squad gets hit. And Alan is the only one that winds up surviving. His brother dies, his whole squad dies, and it leaves homeboy with like PTSD out the ass in this movie, okay? But he doesn't know what to do with himself. So he joins the Rangers. And this is where his story kind of picks up and certainly takes place. And his motivations for going, I thought, was great. Alan Rickson's performance in regards to holding in sort of like the trauma that's in his head really worked for me. I honestly thought that this movie would have been a great film even without the sci-fi elements, if that makes sense. Like sometimes I think the sci-fi elements almost hinder this movie from actually being better than what it could have been. Not to say that I feel like the sci-fi elements is a little bit of a cop out, because even during those times when he finds himself still in charge of a squad that he doesn't necessarily want to be in charge of, it plays well in regards to him having to not only relive what happened to him in the past, but also overcoming some of his fears. So it's very much like a therapeutic trauma, like trauma dump for him, if you will. They do.
I do want to say that I appreciate movies that kind of are written in that way, in the sense that like a character can work regardless of the environment that they're in. So like the way you're describing him, and definitely correct me if I'm
he could have just been on like a mission in the Amazon somewhere.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, just against like whatever the opposite force would have been, whatever whatever their assignment was. It would have worked with or without the sci-fi elements in this movie, and that's what I really did appreciate about it. And when I sit back and I think about it, I'm like, I kind of wish that was the movie, to be honest with you, because the sci-fi elements almost make me feel like, okay, this makes sense why this is a Netflix film at the end of the day. But story beats wise, I enjoyed it. But I got to tell you, man, there's just also the stunt work brilliant in this movie, the action brilliant in this movie, directing standpoint brilliant in this movie, I thought. We also got I'm trying to think without having to bring up my card. Graphics, I thought, for the sci-fi encounters were really great. Even the mayhem that kind of took place, whether it be CGI explosions or real legit explosions. Like the work that the stunt team had to put into this movie was crazy, because there are some practical shots, it looks like, of like vehicles driving and explosions all around it, sort of thing. Like the timing of things felt like it had to be on point. So kudos to the stunt team for that. And the special effects, sometimes when shit just hits the fan and it's just kind of crazy and chaotic, they just do a really good job, especially like pretending to be long one cut stuff in between all the chaos, using some of the explosions or the smoke or the fog to kind of cut through the camera work, so it's really easy to blend so it looks like it's long one cut shots. I was kind of impressed with the special effects elements of this movie, along with the directing skill of kind of bringing it all together really well. But from a story point, I got to tell you, sometimes the movie, to me, the last 10 minutes of this film is just unbelievable. Like unbelievable in the sense of like, ain't no way. Like it just ain't no way. Like my man goes through hell, right? He gets to the finish line. Like, first off, before he even gets into the program, the people in charge have a conversation with him like, bro, we know that you got a messed up shit in your head. We don't want to kick you out, but you got to be the one that's going to determine like you're going to leave on your own. And he's like, fuck, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to keep doing this, right? And so they're like, all right, if you want to be on this mission so badly, we're going to let you go, but we're going to make sure that you are the leader of this group. And he's like, oh, fuck, man. So anyway, so they know what he's going through, all right, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie ends. My man gets back to camp. They congratulate him, but they're like, shit's hit the fan over here, man. Like it's an invasion right now happening, like all across the world. Like it's very open ended, to the sense like if you want to get a sequel, there's a possibility for a sequel here, right? So they tell him shit's hit the fan. But we want to talk to you real quick. So he goes back and he's talking with them. They're proud of him. They're happy he got through it. They literally, as he's standing there bloodied, my man literally just got back. And they're like, boom, they slap the Ranger sticker or patch on his arm. And we're like, we want you. We're not done. We want you. They literally put my man back on a plane, dog. Like he spent like 24, 48 hours like trying to survive out there. My man literally just got back. They said, not only do we want you to go back, but we got new recruits, man. We want you to speak to the new recruits about what's happening. I'm like, my man just had a PTSD trauma dump in this whole movie. Okay. My man literally just got back. And now you want him to give words of wisdom and a speech to the new recruits. So my man goes out there, gives the speech, and then he runs back to the plane to get back on the plane to go take. Like my man hasn't showered. He hasn't like taken a day. The admirals aren't like, hey, bro, maybe you should take like a week off. We're going to give you some great physical therapy, some mental therapy for yourself. No, my man literally jumps back on the plane and goes back out there. Like what? What the hell is happening right now? Like they did so much in the last 5 to 10 minutes of this movie. It was redonkulous. I was like, ain't no way this is happening. And then, the other issue I would have with this movie is, I don't want to say how simple it was to fight off the bad guys in this movie, but when he figures out how to do it, it's just like, really? Like that's really, like it felt a little bit too much for me. But overall, I actually walked away enjoying this film a lot more than I probably should have. But if I had to grade it, what did I even grade it? I remember a B. It was a solid B for me.
Okay.
Man. It was a solid B. I was impressed with Alan's stuff. We had some who was the cast in here? Jai Courtney played his brother in here in the very beginning. Dennis Quaid was in this movie. He was good in the beginning half. Towards the end, not so much. Issa Morales, who just played Deathstroke over in Titans, he was in this movie. I thought he was pretty good. The cadets that are with them on the mission, everybody pretty solid. Keenan Lonsdale, aka Wally West the Flash, is in this movie, surprisingly. Ooh. Believe it or not. Yes, you Flash fans out there, Keenan Lonsdale is in this movie. He's not playing Wally West, unfortunately, but it was just, I didn't really care for his performance, if I could be honest with you. I'm just like, yeah, he's a CW guy. That kind of makes sense. But at the end of the day, it was just really nice to kind of see him in here. But Alan, in regards to just the emotional journey that he's on in here and how he balances it out and tries to get to the end, I was really impressed with what he's able to do. So acting was pretty solid. Editing, directing really worked for me. The low end is 7.5 for the writing, just because I do think it could have been better. I think maybe honestly the sci-fi elements kind of took a little bit away from me, and the rushing of the script in the final act was a little bit too much. But sound was on point, and the VFX work in here combined with the directing and editing, just godly. I was really impressed with it. So yeah, I wound up giving this movie a B. I think it was like a 80. It might have come to like an 85 for me, I think, exactly.
So, fun fact about the writers of this film. So one of them was Patrick Hughes, who mostly has written shorts, but he's mostly directed big films. He was also the director of War Machine as well, so he wrote and direct. He was one of the writers and the director, but he did movies like Expendable, Hitman's Bodyguard, or specifically he did the Expendables 3, and then Hitman's Bodyguard and Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. But then the other writer for this movie, I thought this was kind of interesting. James Beaufort, aka the Red Operation Overdrive Ranger, which is why I thought it was so funny when you mentioned that they were they were called Rangers in this. He's also in this movie. He was number 23. He's like one of the
oh yeah, I see him now. Yeah, I pulled the cast list down. I see him. Okay, cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, at the end they have numbers. So like at the end, they're signing off. They get into the helicopter and the guy's on the comms and he's just like, so and so's here, so and so's here, so and so's here. Who's this guy? And it's Alan's character, and they look and you see him, and it's just his badge number 81 there. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I would not mind a sequel to this. I honestly would not mind a sequel to this. The sci-fi elements are very much sort of hinted at and dropped at, so that when things do hit the fan, it's like, they did kind of mention this in the beginning. How it kind of all plays itself out, and how these Rangers even get into the situation kind of in the first place. I don't believe it got a massively high score on Rotten Tomatoes. Did you find out what the Rotten Tomatoes score was for War Machine?
So critic wise, it was 69%. Nice. And then audience wise, it was 72%.
72%. So I'm a little bit higher in them in regards to 85. I feel like I tend to be a little bit more gracious with my scores at times. Yeah, overall I enjoy this. I was just looking at some of my other when I do these report cards, after I grade them, I look back at my other report cards and see like what other movies that I have in this range. And for the most part, when I look at these films, I'm just like, yeah, I enjoyed that movie better, or I didn't enjoy that movie better. So to me, it fits with how I've kind of graded my other movies before. But I think people would enjoy it. It's just, don't take it too seriously. Just sit back, relax, enjoy the story for what it is, and the great special effects and action. And I think you'll be impressed.
I think one thing I love, what's it, Reacher? I think that's on Amazon. With
it makes me want to see Reacher a little bit more, because
yeah.
I hear really good things about it.
It's such a great show. I mean, I think, well, I've only seen season 1, so I haven't watched past that. But one thing that I love about it is that this guy is freaking huge, but there's not a single person he beats up that doesn't deserve it. And I think the funniest thing too is that despite his height, you get these people that are like half his size that will try to pick a fight with him. And every time I'm just like, how do you think this is going to end? And of course, it's just a really satisfying show. I don't know. Alan Richardson is just that guy who just like, depending on what he's in, I just love seeing him beat people up, because again, looking at Reacher specifically, I do not want to speak for his entire IMDb because I haven't seen every movie he's in. But speaking with that specifically, yeah, I love it when he beats up people that deserve it. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, my man aces all the tests in this Ranger course, by the way. I mean, you look at him, I mean, he's just effing huge, okay? He's a huge dude. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, before they start their training, like, man, I think, his physical trauma or his mental trauma is just going to take a toll on him. No, my man is focused. My man is focused the entire way through, maybe a little bit too focused at times. But if you ever check out the movie, you'll see what I mean. But I had fun with it. I had a good time with it.
You know what? I'm convinced. I don't know if it'll be tonight, but I'm definitely going to watch this movie. In fact, okay, so anytime like anytime one of us sees a movie that the other one hasn't seen, I think that should be another thing in the show. It's is the other person going to watch this movie? Is the other person going to be convinced to see this movie? So in this particular case, haven't seen this movie, but you've convinced me to give it a watch.
Yeah, I mean, I will say again, the stunt work in here is great. I did watch a behind the scenes for War Machine 2 and the how much Alan and the team really kind of pushed themselves to do some amazing stunts in this movie. It was actually pretty dope. The sound effects and stuff of like when the enemy is coming it's really chilling. Like you feel the stakes, like you feel you feel like things are heightened when things don't necessarily go right for them. Again, I tend to be a little bit gracious with my grading, so in reality this might be like a B- to you or a C+ to you, Stewart, for all I know. I don't know if that's good enough for you to check out, but I would be curious to know what you think about it if you ever had the opportunity to check it out. Yeah, even Kiki and Luke is like, those are high scores. Look, I felt really good about this one though. I felt really good about this one.
Well, as you said, you were in the right mindset.
That's all it takes sometimes, man. That's all it takes. Shout out to So Karoma. Hi, don't cool smoke. I'll light one up for you. Why not? No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that's the message you were going for, but thank you anyway. And then last but not least, the last movie. This probably won't take too much of my time here, but The Bluff, Prime Video's brand new movie here. Can you look up who directed this Stuart, along with the Rotten Tomatoes score on this one?
It was, oh shoot, I just had it. Oh, there it is. So it was directed by Frank E. Flowers, and then it was written by Joe Ballarini, and then Frankie Flowers as well. Sorry if I'm butchering that last name for Joe. I'll look up the IMDb real quick.
I know it was rotten from the critic score. I can't remember what the audience score was. I felt like it was relatively low. But for those of you who are not,
actually, it's kind of similar to War Machine in that critic and audiences are pretty close. It's 59 critic and then 62 audience.
Wow, 62 audience. Wow. Okay. Damn, I feel bad for my score now. Look, for those of you who are not familiar with The Bluff, the synopsis reads: a Caribbean woman gets her secret past revealed when her island is invaded by vicious buccaneers. And again, this will be a spoiler warning for you guys as I talk a little bit about this movie. But this is on Prime Video if you want to go ahead and check it out. The two main stars in here, Priyanka Chopra, who plays Ursula, along with Carl Urban, who plays Captain Francisco in this movie. We also have Tamora Morrison is in this movie, Jango Fett and Boba Fett himself, which I really enjoyed him in this role, man. I thought he knocked it out of the park as Lee. And somebody that I ever since I saw him in The Rings of Power, we've got Ismael Cruz Cordova. He plays a guy by the name of Theodore. He is, in fact, the love of Ursula's life. I believe that they're married in here. But Ismael, for those of you who don't know, he plays one of the elves, the main elf in the Ring of Power. The bow and arrow guy. I can't remember what else I've seen him in. He's also been on, don't ask me how I know he's been on Sesame Street. It's just because I have a young kid, but he pops up on Sesame Street a couple times too. But I feel like ever since I've seen him everywhere. But it's really Priyanka Chopra and Carl Urban as our two main characters in here. There are elements to this movie that I was a fan of. And I will say, I think Priyanka Chopra as in this role, I thought she was brilliant in this movie. I really did. It's again, this will be spoiler free, so I'm going to talk about it openly. It's the idea that she used to be a former pirate herself. Her and Carl Urban's character have a past with each other that winds up emerging in here. Carl Urban's character, Captain Francisco, winds up capturing her husband. And winds up finding a piece of gold on him. And that piece of gold used to belong to Captain Francisco. And the only other person that has had this gold, that's right, is Ursula herself, played by Priyanka Chopra. And so now he's like, I found this woman. Let's go take her out. And that's really what the whole movie is about, is him trying to exact revenge on her for pretty much stealing his gold. And you know, this was a I love a great swashbuckling adventure. I thought this movie was a great reminder to me that like pirates are going to pirate. Like there's no good aspect about pirating. Like if you were a pirate, you did some gnarly shit. You know what I mean? And you just can't trust one another. And it feels like both of these characters definitely have some black stains on their ledger for sure. Um, and so it is odd to where it's like you want to root for Ursel's character, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, well, you did steal the man's motherfucking gold. You know what I'm saying? Like you did take his gold from him. And I can understand his motivations for wanting to get that back. But there is a backstory to her in regards to how these two met. There's some innuendos in regards to that either they had a relationship with each other mutually, or it was very much sort of like a one-sided relationship and he cared about her more than she did in regards to her upbringing and stuff like that. So, it was interesting to try and figure out how I felt about the both of them and their motivations towards kind of taking each other out, if you will. But I think Priyanka Chopra does a marvelous job of not only playing like this very overprotective mother, but her fighting skills, dude, like her choreography just felt so on point. Some people might look at this movie and be like, "Oh, she's a Mary Sue, dude. She's a Mary Sue." Like I don't see it that way. Like she does this really great job in the movie where she pretends that she's not who she is, and she has to pretend to be very vulnerable and let herself kind of get beat up and stuff before she finally kind of reveals like she's really this kind of badass. But there's a part that I think like because the fact that they showed her vulnerable, I think kind of adds to the idea a little bit too of like, yeah, she's not as perfect as you think, right? Like even some of the action sequences, even though the choreography is great and she kicks ass in these battles, she does certainly get hurt and does get her ass kicked from time to time. But it's bloody, it's violent. It really works for me. There's a really gnarly scene where they finally come on shore. The pirates finally arrive at the island, and seeing them plunder and pillage and take out the main person that's supposed to be like protecting the island is just it's crazy. But the action was remarkable in here for me, honestly. Action was great. I thought the cinematography from like a directing perspective, like visually it looked good. It looked pretty clean. And some of the performances I think were okay from Carl Urban along with Priyanka Chopra. But I do think this is a cool like pirate swashbuckling adventure. If you're not looking for something super heavy, but you want something that's light that you can digest and just have a decent time with, I think the Bluff is rather decent. So much decently so, I gave it a C plus here. I think this might have been like a 79, 77 or something like that for me. It was just kind of average and below average, if you will, for me, with some highlights that I ended up being a fan of for the most part. But yeah, that's what I ended up giving it, was a C plus. So I'm very far off from what most audiences said. You said they had like a 62.
Yeah, audiences 62, critics 59.
Yeah, I might want to. I haven't seen this movie in like a week, maybe like 5-6 days, and I just graded it today. I probably would have. I'm kind of curious if I had graded it shortly after I watched the movie when I remembered everything. Had I would I if my grade would have been just a little bit lower here. There's just elements, especially when it comes to the writing for Ursul's story in here, that I felt they never really addressed, that I think would have gone a long way in regards to fleshing out her past a little bit more and her true relationship with the captain. It's very much hinted at and teased at, but never really said out loud. and so it does make me wonder like what type of relationship they truly did have. But at the end of the day, they're both pirates, one of them just trying to change their colors, um and past catching up to them type of thing, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Okay, so with her trying to like basically leave her pirating life behind, um, is it and you mentioned like it's kind of like her past coming up to bite her in the ass essentially. So does she, with the gold that she stole from the pirates, kind of use it to start a new life or make amends in some way, or just hide pretty much?
Yeah, I think she's pretty much just hiding. She doesn't look like she's
Mm.
like living the lifestyle, you know what I mean? She's got a cabin out in the woods or in the forest and stuff. The village that is on the island seems like a really small, sort of populated one. It doesn't seem like she's swimming in cash. A lot of the gold that she has is very much hidden. I'm kind of under the impression that her husband wasn't supposed to take the gold in the first place,
Oh,
but he winds up taking the gold and getting captured, and really like reveals herself. So I think she's more in hiding than she is fully ready to kind of like use that money and that gold for her own purposes, you know.
gotcha.
She talks about the idea that she felt like she needed to take it because she was owed something, you know, something was owed to her. It's hinted at that she, was brought into this lifestyle sort of as a child, um very much against her will, but it seems like she eventually kind of embraced it. Whether that's she embraced it in order to survive and kind of get by. Um, I don't know what the age difference between her and the captain certainly is, or if this is something like as she got older, she met a different captain. Like it's just things between their relationship that are hinted at that aren't fully discussed and open that just makes you as a viewer ask yourself, like trying to fill in that narrative. And I wish from a writing perspective they had really done all of that for done a lot of that, a lot more of that work for me.
Yeah. All right,
um
I don't think I'm quite convinced to see this one like it
yeah,
was with
probably not.
War Machine, but I guess like yeah, if I am ever looking for something to watch, and yeah, it's not an impossibility, just definitely not on my list.
No, I get you. It may not necessarily be for everybody. Um, but yeah, that will do it. I think for all of our movies here that we were going to talk about today. So we had 3 movies that we discussed with you guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed today's show. Again, it's going to be very spoiler free, spoiler heavy, kind of going forward. So if you guys haven't had the opportunity to see these movies yet, feel free to come back and definitely talk to us about them in the comments after you watch these movies for yourself. And then maybe going forward, let me look at the schedule and see
Yeah, what's
what's
out
on deck.
next weekend?
Next week, let's see. Let me pull up my AMC's list. See if there's anything while I do that. See if there's any new movie releases on Netflix or maybe Prime Video that might be coming out. Next week is the horror movie Undertone. I definitely want to see that. My girlfriend is like, you can't see it without me. So I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try and see if we can check out this film by Monday for you guys. That's really the only one that I'm showing for the March 13th release date. So that might be the only one that we talk about. Maybe there's another one that might pop up on my list. Um, if there's anything else on. Oh, you know what? They are re-releasing TMNT 2 next week. Secret of the Ooze for the 35th
Ooh.
anniversary. So maybe. Um, you see anything on Prime or Netflix at all? So wait,
Mostly
ooh,
just TV shows. I don't see any oh
any
wait, here we
movies?
go. Or sorry, that's not until the 20th. Yeah, no, I don't see any like I'm trying I don't know where would I look for upcoming movie releases for Netflix? Is there like a specific website for that?
Website? I don't know. I think there's a What's Up Netflix or What's Up on Netflix or something like that. I'm not quite sure.
Hmm.
Upcoming movies. New movies and shows in 2026. Let me see. I wonder if these are going to be by release year or not. Oh yeah, there's not even like a date for the release of these movies. It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll at least have at least one or two movies next week to certainly discuss with you guys. But it looks like Undertones is going to be the one that I certainly will be checking out. I think that's what we should aim for next week, Stuart, if at all possible. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. There's a bunch of theater. Actually, there's a theater playing it today. I guess it must be like an early release.
Oh yeah, maybe an early fan event or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, let us know what you thought about some of these movies. How do you feel about some of these scores that we wind up dropping? Am I too friendly with my scores? This is kind of why I also want your report cards too, Stuart, so that because I feel like when our powers combined, you know, we hit a really decent average for these movies because I think we balance each other out a little you know, rather well.
Got it. We gotta completely contrast each other. So I gotta be super negative with my reviews. You know what? I gotta go the anti-woke grifter route. So that's how I'll review movies, and then you review them like a normal person, and then we see what that looks like. I'm totally kidding, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know if we could, I don't know if we could pull that off, even if we wanted to, Stuart. It's just not in us, man. It's just not in us.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys,
I'm
let
just
us
too
know.
positive.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on some of these movies. Have you checked them out? Are you gonna check them out? What is your grade? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. But until next time, guys, we'll certainly see you later. So do us a big favor. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.